caught with chain metal hoops in a four-cornered cage can be found in most inner-city neighborhoods, be it America or the UK. It's in these neighborhoods where you might find some that go for a swing or a slide, or others that are shooting hoops or kicking ball. But you know where else a court with chain metal hoops in a four-cornered cage can also be found? Prison. Basketball and crime have forever been intertwined, but mostly for a negative reason. For example, the Detroit Pistons was once called the Jailbird Pistons for their thuggish looks, aggressive attitude, and violent style of play. What if basketball could prevent crime, become intertwined in a positive way, fight crime in the dark like Batman? Here we have a solution that has been tried and tested, a solution that has brought light to the darkness. Midnight basketball. Hi, my name is Roti. I love basketball, I love to talk basketball, and I hope one day you can share that same love for basketball as I. Why am I talking about midnight basketball? Well, knife crime in the UK continues to climb, with reports from last year stating that in London alone, 13,500 knife cases had taken place, which is a 20% increase from the year before. This is close to an all-time high of 14,700, which was the UK's pre-COVID peak. The majority of these victims, though, are kids on the street. Some say Top Boy painted a false image, but many will tell you it's a vivid image of London streets. The crime that takes place speaks for itself, and with teenage lives being at risk in the night, the government need to find a solution. Midnight basketball was an American solution.
I'd a lot rather have somebody shooting hoops and shooting bullets.
Don't ask the taxpayers to pay for midnight basketball.
This is not a crime bill. This is a welfare bill.
In the late 1980s, G. Van Standifer created a solution to curb crime on the streets of Washington, D.C. His solution would take place during high crime hours between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., targeting high crime rate neighborhoods. The basketball league could only run during the summer months, and for it to run, players must be between 17 to 21. 2 police officers had to be present at all times, and the games weren't allowed to take place before 10 p.m. As soon as word got out about these leagues, other states decided to set up copycat leagues of their own. The league was covered by NBA TV before any players had even signed up. Major news stations publicized it, and major newspapers covered the story all over the country.
Fun alternative.
New at 11, Fox 5's Kim Luffler tells us about South Fulton's midnight basketball program that will also teach a trade in hopes of landing a job.
Many saw this as an opportunity to reduce crime and also socialize the police officers into a crime-heavy neighborhood. The Midnight Basketball Association was recognized by President H. Bush and was acclaimed for all its fantastic results. 30% of crime dropped in states that had adopted it. In Phoenix, there was 10% fewer juvenile arrests and 50% less reports to the police. With results like this, basketball is a saving grace. Simple. Britain should integrate this. So you would think. At the time, the political elite disagreed. They couldn't believe that these were the results, and antisocial behavior was really on the decline. Many questioned that by having a small sample play the basketball during these hours, it was unrepresentative of the overall fall in crime rate. For example, in Chicago, there were 160 participants. However, there were 6,600 people at risk within the area. That's not to talk about the 85,000 that were at risk statewide. In 1994, the effects came under heavy scrutiny. Many stated that putting all the at-risk individuals together, they were increasing the risk as it may facilitate a deviant subculture. However, those on the ground still stood by the program and believed in its effects. So what was true? Well, I do know what is true. If you like this content, you should probably subscribe because I'm going to get more of it out. But another thing that was more true. Depro Haartman's analysis of the relationship between midnight basketball and urban crime rates found out the truth. He compared both cities with and without midnight basketball programs between 1985 to 2001. He found that cities that implemented the program had a greater decline in crime rate than those without. And that wasn't because of a random effect. In some states, for every 100,000 people, there was 990 less reports of property crimes taking place. Now, at first glance, that's something that should be implemented into the UK. That will reduce crime rate automatically. But the problem in the UK isn't property crime, it's violent crime, specifically knife crime. to which the study found that midnight basketball had subtle to no significant effect. But Haartman mentions that in many of these states, it was used as a cheaper alternative to police protection. So instead of reinforcing the already present protection, they just tried to replace it. So it's funny because Basketball England tried something like this. They didn't work alongside with the police, and so there was no significant effects found. In Newham, basketball has been said to have partly reduced 46% of the knife crime in the area. And so it makes no sense not to implement some sort of measure, this time with government and police involved. UK midnight basketball could boost the overall presence and reputation of basketball in the UK, highlighting how it is more than a sport. It could be built up as an association like in America and produce community-wide effects, increasing employment and providing purpose for the youth. Potentially, it could also be seen that basketball is solving a problem. And if that's the case, there's likely to be an increase in popularity and, more importantly, funding and revamping the courts, as we've seen how rubbish they are on SBTV, of course. Its success could ask and answer a wider question to why sport isn't used as a more preventative measure to combat crime. Maybe we need a petition. Maybe it's midnight football, not basketball. But there has to be a solution to engage the youth of the country away from knife crime. Will it happen? Maybe not. But it's a cool thing to think about.